Hi, this is Tanner Rainbolt. This is EDL 851, Module 8, Legal Aspects of Teacher Evaluations. Just kind of summarizing the three different articles that we read in this module. The first one, the Every Student Succeeds Act. A couple things I took away from this was when it came to performance-based, that it was more than just the test scores is what we're striving for. They talked about consulting with teachers on the evaluation, making process. So having, whether it be teachers or the unions involved in that process, and so that they're a part of it and they're aware of the different steps. And also teachers being trained in the evaluation system. I know, for example, in my school, all of our employees are trained in Keep 2, which is what we use for evaluation. So those were a couple things I took away from the first article. The second one, teacher evaluation heads to courts. I noticed that there was very few, what I put in quotations here, teacher wins. A lot of the cases on there were either rejected or dismissed. I was surprised there was a lot of current ongoing ones, so it'll be interesting to see, what makes of those. The third article, teacher evaluation and issue overview. A couple of things I took away from this was, teaching to the standards. I think that it's always important, regardless of content area, that you are teaching to your state and your national standards. I also think it's important that you have objectives and goals, and so I took that away from that part of the article. And then state assessments tied to teacher evaluations. I think obviously, as a PE teacher, I don't have state assessments that isn't tied to what I'm doing, but in Keep 2 we have a performance measure. So I think that in that article they were talking about how they're kind of trying to move away from that, where state testing scores isn't necessarily involved with your teacher evaluations, because like they said in the article, there's many different things, kids' home lives, just a pre-knowledge coming in that they might not be caught up just like everyone else. So those are just a couple examples. My school district in Gardner, we use the Keep 2 system, the self-assessment and the goals, and the student performance on there. Regardless if you're on evaluation cycle, you do that every single year. If you are on evaluation cycle, the pre-conference, the lesson, and the post-conference, and the summative rating. So the self-assessment, basically everybody goes in and rates themselves. And then if you're on cycle, the administrator will go through and fill that out for your summative rating. So it's interesting to see the difference between what you rate yourself and what your evaluator rates you. The goals for our school, we have 3 goals every single year. We upload artifacts. For our school, we try to have at least 2 to 3 artifacts per goal, just to kind of the evidence base to show that we're striving to meet those goals. The pre-conference, we meet with our evaluator a couple weeks before the lesson and just kind of go over what that person's expecting for us to teach. And then the lesson, the evaluator comes in, depending on if you're, for example, if you're a first or second year teacher, you're evaluated 4 times a year. If you're a third or fourth year teacher, it's a 1 time per year, and then it's 3 years off. So this is my 4th year in the district. So this is my last year evaluation. I'll have the next 3 years off, and then I'll be back on. But the post-conference, you meet with your evaluator, and they kind of give you some feedback on what you did well, what you can improve on. I talked about the summative rating. And then the student performance, everybody does that. That's basically you pick 3 different things that you track student progress on. For example, in PE, we did, fitness testing scores, kind of like a pre-test, post-test, just to track their progress there. When it comes to teacher resources, if, somebody's not comfortable with their evaluation or has a concern, the time to voice their opinion is during that post-conference with their evaluator, kind of just talk through maybe what they thought they did better on, or things that they can improve on, or things in that nature. I talked about the 1 to 4 years, that during the evaluation cycle, between 1 to 4 years, they don't have to give you a reason or justification for a non-renewal of your contract. Anything 5 years plus, there is, documentation that administrators have to show. With the state and going away from the tenure process. I mean, that's always a difficult thing. Teachers are kind of a little bit scared, but I think that as long as you're doing a good job and you have that documentation and that evidence that you are working towards your goals and that you're striving to get better each and every day, it shouldn't be a big issue. But when it comes to the legal case I picked, it was Hardy versus Liberty Union School District. It happened in California in 2011. The lady's named Hardy. She had a heart attack. She came back and she felt like she was being discriminated against her administrators. She had people help her lift things, and she was in a wheelchair, and she had some physical limitations. And she said that she had never had any negative marks on her evaluation, and that year when all that happened, she had negative marks, and her administrators pushed her out of a teaching role and into a different role, and she ended up winning. Well, I guess it didn't technically go to court, but she ended up coming to a settlement, $260,000. And I thought the funny thing is that she still works at this school district. So it originally went to court, and then before it came to an end, they came to a settlement. But I did read that the lawyer and the superintendent of the school, came to a quick settlement after they kind of realized that this case probably wasn't going to go in their favor. As a future administrator, some legal issues associated with valuations. For myself, I just want to keep in constant communication with those teachers throughout the process. Just always have evidence that this person is getting better each and every day, or during the lessons that they might be struggling in a certain area. Just having that evidence and just communicating that over and over with the teacher, I think is key. Working for Gardner, we have a GNEA. Working with the teachers union just to making sure that they're involved in that evaluation process. If changes are made each and every year, and just kind of go through that with the negotiated agreement. And then for myself, just to keep up to date with legal practices and different information, and just making myself knowledgeable, but also relaying that information to staff and educators, so that they're also aware of the different legal practices. But that was my module. Thanks.